So what happens when a quantum physicist decides to become a monk? It might sound like the start of a joke, but it's actually the true story of Marcus Schmiecke, a man who spent 4 decades on an incredible mission to connect two worlds that seem like total opposites: hard science and the human spirit. And it all started with this one single question. A question that seems simple, but is actually one of the deepest mysteries there is. For young, brilliant physicists, this wasn't just some academic puzzle. It was the question that sent him on a journey he never could have predicted. You see, he realized pretty quickly that the answers he was looking for just weren't in the textbooks. Conventional science had kind of hit a wall. So this wasn't just a simple career change for him, it was the beginning of an absolutely epic quest for discovery. Okay, so let's rewind. Picture this, a 16-year-old Marcus, totally obsessed with quantum physics. He was absolutely convinced that all the secrets of the universe were hidden right there, in the bizarre world of subatomic particles. But the deeper he went, the more he felt like something fundamental was just missing. And then it hit him. Physics is incredible at explaining what the universe is made of, all the nuts and bolts. But it had nothing to say about the experience of being alive. It couldn't explain consciousness. So, he made a choice that sounds pretty radical. He traded his physics textbooks for a monk's robe and spent more than 10 years in India studying the inner world of the mind. And that pivot, that was the real beginning of his life's work. It's almost like he was assembling this massive, complex puzzle over 40 years. But here's the catch. He was putting it together piece by piece without ever seeing the final picture on the box. And you can see here, this journey wasn't some single eureka moment. It was this slow, deliberate evolution. It starts 40 years ago with that spiritual training. A decade later, he gets those ideas into a book. Then they evolve into professional technology. And finally, about 10 years ago, it all gets distilled into a personal device, a 4-decade process coming to life. So what was this grand idea he was developing all that time? Let's get into the core concepts, because this is where his background in physics and his deep study of consciousness really start to merge.
At the very heart of his work is this concept called the information field. Now, think of it like this. It's the invisible architecture of our biology. It's a non-physical, quantum-level blueprint that holds the perfect set of instructions for how every single cell in our body is supposed to function. It's the organizing principle behind our physical bodies.
Here's a really simple way to get your head around it. Imagine your body as a house. The information field, that's the architect's perfect blueprint. And the water that makes up most of our bodies, well, that's the communication system, carrying the instructions from the blueprint to every single part of the house. Now, he'd been developing this theory for years, but a huge light bulb moment happened when he was at a biohacking conference in Japan. It was there that he saw this giant gap in how modern science was approaching health, and he finally found the missing piece to his 40-year puzzle. What he noticed was that Western scientists were almost completely focused on the physical side of things. Genes, cells, the biological house. But in Eastern traditions, like the Japanese concept of ikigai, health is completely tied up with purpose, with meaning, with joy. He saw this massive disconnect, and nobody was trying to build a bridge between these two worlds. So his solution was to build that bridge himself. He called it quantum longevity. And the quantum part is the key here. It suggests that at the most fundamental level of reality, that separation we think exists between our thoughts and our cells, it just dissolves. They're interconnected, both expressions of that deeper information field. So if you have these radical new ideas, how do you go about validating them? Well, Marcus turned to one of the most powerful and honestly most mysterious forces in all of medicine, the placebo effect. Was it just a trick of the mind, or was it proof of something way deeper? So, let me just ask you, what do you think is the single most powerful yet consistently overlooked force in our own healing? The answer might really surprise you. It's this number, 82%. This is just astounding. A meta-analysis of multiple studies found that up to 82% of a treatment's effectiveness can come from the placebo effect. That's the power of our own mind, our own consciousness and belief. Marcus realized this incredible force is almost completely ignored by modern medicine. So this led him to propose a totally new 3-dimensional model of the placebo. Okay, so number 1 is the psychological dimension, just the raw power of belief. Number 2 is meaning, the power of having a purpose, that ikigai idea. But the third one, this is completely new. He calls it the quantum placebo, the idea that you can use specific frequencies, almost like a carrier wave, to amplify our intention to heal and communicate it directly to the body's information field. And look, this was not just some theory. He actually put it to the test in 6 rigorous clinical trials. The results were pretty remarkable. In 5 of those 6 studies, the group using his frequency device showed scientifically measurable improvements over the group that was using a dummy device. This was the validation he had been working towards for so long. And this brings us to the final piece of his 40-year puzzle, a concrete map that connects the different dimensions of our consciousness directly to the functions of our biology. He identified 12 universal fields of life. These are like big archetypal themes in our consciousness. And he found that they correspond directly to our biological systems. For instance, the consciousness field of protection is directly linked to our immune response. The field of vision is tied to our sense of life purpose, our ikigai. It's a literal map between our mind and our body. As Marcus himself puts it so perfectly, our biological pathways correspond to the dimensions of our consciousness. They are 2 sides of the same coin. In other words, your mental and emotional state isn't just affecting your physical health. In a very, very real way, it is your physical health. Which brings us to his vision for the future. And that vision can really be summed up in one single ambitious number. His goal isn't just to sell a product, it's to get this technology and the whole philosophy behind it into 100 million homes in the next decade. He believes that as individuals start to restore harmony between their own minds and bodies, it's going to create a ripple effect, a global wave of healing. And all this leaves us with a really profound final thought. If our intentions truly do have the power to shape the quantum field, and in turn, create our physical reality, then what kind of reality are we going to choose to create together? The potential, it seems, is infinite.